Next I'm going to talk about some Autograss settings and how they affect the speed of the render as well. I'm going to select my Autograss from the scene browser and look at the Autograss settings. Now the first thing you'll want to do in the Autograss settings is go all the way to the bottom to where it says memory limit. Now in this small scene it doesn't matter too much, so I have it at the default 256 megabytes. If you're rendering a really large scene with a lot of grass and it's taking a long time, you can allocate more memory to Autograss, which will make it render a lot faster. So you could type in a larger number, like 2 gigabytes, if you have that much memory free. And don't worry about typing in too large a number, because Autograss will automatically reduce the number if you're starting to actually run out of physical memory. So I'm going to leave that at the default for now. Now let's look at some of the other settings in Autograss. Notice that the length of the grass is set to 8 centimeters by default for Kentucky bluegrass, because that's the real size of Kentucky bluegrass. You can make longer grass or shorter grass if you like, but this is one reason that it's important to have the whole scene to be real world size. So you can see we have grass blades that look like real grass blades. If our scene was too big, we might need to increase the length of our grass to make up for that. But that's actually going to increase your render time quite a bit. So you want to keep the length to a realistic size. Of course, if you want to have a longer grass, you can go ahead and type in longer grass, but just keep in mind that this is going to affect the render time a little bit. So I'm going to leave it at the default 8 centimeters. Another feature of Autograss that can affect render time is the materials. I'm going to click on the Grass Material Preset button to bring up my materials. By default, Autograss has applied the Bluegrass Fast Tips material, which looks real and renders quickly. The main differences between the high quality and the fast materials is the high quality allows light to actually shine through the back of the grass blades. In a scene like this, that doesn't make a lot of difference, so I'm going to leave it on the fast material. Maybe when I'm satisfied with my scene, I'll switch it to the high quality material to do my final render. The last tip I'm going to point out for today is about the ground object. I'm going to select my ground plane. You might notice that it's subdivided into a number of polygons here. So let's see what's going on there. I've got a plane that I edited, and I put a turbo smooth on it and some noise to give it a nice bumpy ground look. If I go down to my turbo smooth, I can adjust how many polygons I'm using in my ground plane. And you'll find that there's kind of a sweet spot here again that gives you the fastest speed. So if I bring my polygons way down and do a render, it's still rendering reasonably quickly, but it's actually taking a little bit longer than if I subdivide my ground a little bit. So if I bring that back up to 4, for example, the ground looks nicer and it's actually rendering a little bit faster. But if I subdivide it even more, if I go crazy on it, then it's actually going to affect the speed a little bit and render a little bit slower. So you get the best speed out of Autograss by having your ground subdivided a little bit, about this much, but not crazy subdivided. Especially, you don't want to have a V-ray displacement on your ground object, because that makes tiny little polygons when it renders, and then this will make Autograss take a long time. Now if you need to have displacement on your ground because you need some of it to show up through the grass, then you can actually duplicate your ground object by going to the Edit menu and hitting Clone. I'll just make a copy of my ground. And now I'm free to use one of my ground objects to be very dense, but the ground object that my Autograss is on is still the less dense version. So the grass will still render quickly, even though I have a really dense ground that I can use to add detail to my ground if necessary. Let me just get rid of that and I'll do a final render so we can see how we're doing. So that's the end of the render. You can see this only took about 90 seconds to render. Just to recap, first we make sure we're using the correct units. Then we make sure we're using the DMC image sampler and we set up our samples to 16. I'm using the fast grass material, and if you have a large scene, then you can adjust the Autograss memory limit to be a higher value. And I've got my ground plane subdivided a little bit, but not too much, and especially I don't have displacement on the object that I'm using to place the Autograss. I hope that helps you out with getting your Autograss scenes rendering nice and quick.